everyone. Welcome to Change and Thrive. I'm your host, Dr. Wendy Heckelman, founder and CEO of WLH Consulting and Learning Solutions. Thank you for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe and select the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss an episode. Last week, we talked about the importance of a transition leader and their critical role when executing change. The very essence of change is that it can happen quickly, right before your eyes. By its very nature, change is disruptive and can throw even the most skilled leaders and individuals off balance. Fortunately, with proper planning and preparation, leaders can not only handle change, but they can thrive during change. In today's episode, I first want to introduce you to a validated change management framework called the 5 C's of transition leadership, and discuss the critical role communication plays throughout the process. I'm pleased to introduce Sheryl Unger, who has been a trusted member of the WLH team for over 20 years and has helped to design the 5 C's framework.
Hi, Wendy. I'm very excited to be with you all today to talk about both the 5 C's of transition leadership and how important it's been to our clients who love the framework because it helps them deal with so many challenges when they're going through change and to develop their own change capabilities.
Thank you, Sheryl. Change is a traumatic event for many people. However, change also has the potential to unlock the most marvelous results. It doesn't need to be a dirty word. In fact, effective change can help reveal industry domination, or start a revolution for your product or service, or help an organization become much more effective. I want to share a little bit that the 5 C's of transition leadership is a deliberate framework that is used to implement change while accounting for the tremendous variability across an organization. It is validated by empirics and experience, obtained from working on hundreds of projects over the last 3 decades. It solves the 2 critical change failures. First, lack of effective implementation planning. And second, lack of the leader's ability to guide others through transition. The 5 C's focuses first on the individual leader, who is so critical in helping their teams go through change. Second, the 5 C's focuses on the impact of change on the team and individual direct reports. And third, its focus is on the business and operational issues and risks undertaken during change. There are 5 key activities. Commit by owning the change and preparing to lead. Construct a plan to address business risks and impact. Create a high-performing team to deliver results. Coach your direct reports through the transition. And calibrate to ensure success.
Wendy, thanks for going through the 5 C's. One of the reasons why we came up with the framework is we wanted something that was simple and easy for everybody to remember. And time again, once we lay out the 5 C's with our clients, everybody can easily see each of the different buckets. You know, you might have heard a famous quote from George Bernard Shaw, who said that the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it takes place. And this quote can easily be applied to organizations undergoing change. How many times have we worked with clients, especially the leaders who've been working on the change for a long, long time, and they go to announce a major change like a merger or a group redesign, and they just think everybody gets it, and that's it. And yet we know that those organizations are likely to not be effective if they don't spend more time communicating those change and communicating the why behind the change.
Absolutely. I would say and want to reiterate that really having a solid, not only strategy around communication, but effective deployment is critical. And like you said, Sheryl, it really runs through all of the 5 C's. So to go back to our transition leader, the effective transition leader looks to provide clarity to ensure that others understand the what, why, and how, which allows their direct reports and their collaborative partners to successfully go through the transition cycle and commit to the change initiative. From our perspective, in order for you to change and thrive, you need to communicate often and in an impactful way. Now, if we keep in mind that a transition leader directly translates the strategic change effort and takes specific steps to create a high-performing team, then messaging and delivery are paramount, and it must become ritualistic. Would you agree, Sheryl?
Absolutely. I think we've learned so many things from so many different clients. All the research, it's not just you and I, the research often points to lack of communication as one of the critical failures for the results of the change effort not happening. But on the other hand, we've worked with a number of different clients and organizations, and I'm happy to share some key observations and some good communication tips. One of the first things we remind any leader we're working with is, and all the leaders that we're involved with training, is that you have to speak authentically. That it's authentic leadership and authentic communication about sharing their own commitment to the change and transparency, really, especially now with so much change going on. It's about being real and sharing what you know and what you don't know, and using that as the jumping off place to establish that trust and credibility.
I mean, Sheryl, if you think about in all the work that we've done, if leaders are not authentic, I just want to reinforce that point, others see through them. And we know that leaders cast the greatest shadow. So the more authentic they are, the more that they communicate what they know or really what they don't know or can't share, we know that that makes a difference. So that's a great first tip.
Secondly, leaders who encourage two-way dialogue and feedback, incredibly much more successful in executing change.
Absolutely.
Our third principle we want to share with you today is clarity matters. Here, it's about taking the time to be clear and consistent when discussing the business case for change. It's about translating those critical messages in ways that allow people to understand what are their priorities and what are the expectations. When they do that, it just eliminates confusion.
Yeah, we had a client that we were doing a huge expansion with that you might recall. And he beat the drum. Clarity, clarity, clarity. You have to understand the why. You have to understand the what. The messages need to be broken down in a way that people can hear that. And I think that that's a very important tip.
Glad you brought up that leader. The other thing I remember about him, and it speaks to our fourth principle, is that you have to have speaking points that inspire. He would use stories. He used a future-focused vision, and he used a lot of images that gave people permission and encouraged them to act and empowered them to bring forth the potential concerns they had.
Often our clients will say, well, how often do we need to talk to people? What does that really need to look like? And you're absolutely the expert here.
I'd say, other communication strategists and even in consumer behavior, people need to see messages multiple times, even up to 7 times is sort of a statistic that's often cited, for them to actually hear the message. And it's not even important that they hear the message over and over, but they have to hear it and see it in multiple ways, whether it be through sayings, through your corporate communication strategy, when you start meetings, as you reiterate follow-ups in your emails. All of that is that repetition and consistency. So yes, be repetitive.
Well, thank you, Sheryl, for sharing these tips. I think they're very helpful. It's really important to remember that successful communication is the key to any type of relationship. And that is a requirement of our 30% Success Club. In fact, permanent members are the master communicators. What I think I'd like to do is share with you an example of an organization that had undergone a difficult global merger in the pharmaceutical industry. This company used the 5 C's of transition leadership, complemented with an effective communication strategy and cascade. Okay? And I'm using the term cascade. It was not just to have that one and done. They knew that this would be a difficult integration. There were going to be many questions from leaders and individuals on what the merger meant to them personally and for their teams. They also knew they would need to commit the time and resources to achieve a successful integration. So let me share what they did. First, they assembled a team and defined the core messages for the integration and that future vision for the combined organization. Second, they shared and developed messages with senior leaders and then allowed them to workshop them. The workshopping really ensured that the messages would translate to their teams so they would understand the what, the why, and the how of the integration. And third, most importantly, the organization committed significant time and resources for their leaders to work with their teams to understand the rationale for the merger, how their work would need to evolve, and the actions they would need to support this new combined organization. What's interesting is this organization had a second merger several years later and used the same process with incredible success. Equipped with the 5Cs framework and a great communication strategy, they had become really agile change implementation experts. So, as we close out today's podcast, I would like to focus on 3 key takeaways. 1, utilizing the 5Cs solves the 2 critical change failures: lack of effective implementation planning and lack of the leader's ability to guide others through transition. It solves for that. Second, critical to the success of using the 5Cs and ensuring buy-in throughout an organization, you must have an effectively designed and executed communication strategy. And third, you need to ensure that communications are consistent, they're transparent, and on message. If not, you lose trust. And trust is the vehicle for progress towards your desired goals. And in this case, a successful transition. So if you want to learn more about change leadership, check out our new book, Change and Thrive, Our Modern Approach to Change Leadership, now available on Amazon. Or if you're an organization looking for remote leadership during these very difficult times, WLH Consulting is offering a virtual workshop that provides, using the 5Cs, a practical framework and tips to help leaders at all levels change and thrive. You can visit our website to learn more. I want to thank our guest, Sheryl Unger, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you again for tuning in to Change and Thrive. Don't forget to subscribe. That way you'll never miss an episode. And if you're on social media, join us on your favorite platform. Simply look for WLH Consulting. I'm Dr. Wendy Heckelman, and I look forward to sharing with you next week.